Noonan here, and Brian is a Marine veteran as well. He's also helped a lot of small business owners generate thousands of dollars through doing online advertising and marketing for businesses that are out there.
I see the numbers are in the millions. Sorry to interrupt you.
Millions, sorry. Yeah, seven figures, right? So, and I know people spend a hell of a lot of money with Brian every month because he gets some results. And Brian's going to share with us some of those secrets on how he's getting some of those results. And normally, the gate in front of Brian is like really expensive. And I wanted to bring him out here to fellow Marines and guys on the page and guys that are out there listening to this to be able to get a glimpse into Brian's mind a little bit. And that way you guys can ask any questions. So if you have questions too, make sure you post them on the page. I'll go through and ask Brian the questions because Brian's not one of those guys who's very easy to get a hold of and get in front of because his time is at a premium. So again, Brian, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day with jumping on with us, brother.
My pleasure, brother.
So tell me a little about your story. Like, how did you start out being an entrepreneur?
I started with some entrepreneurial things at a very early age. I think I kind of caught the bug from my father, actually, who, when he wasn't in his own business, always had some kind of side businesses going on. And had the normal kind of teenage jobs of mowing lawns and washing dishes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I was even apprentice to a sculptor, which was kind of cool.
That's interesting. Like, what kind of sculpting?
He would sculpt things out of rock, pretty much. Big rocks.
Big rocks. Like how big? Like big as my house? I mean, we're talking.
No, not quite that big, but big enough that, I mean, far too big to lift up or anything like that. And I learned something very essential from that guy, actually, because he was this old Italian guy. He'd say, "Walk the rock, Brian. Walk the rock." And you can move almost anything if you kind of like go a little bit on each side.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just a funny memory.
That's cool, man. So what like rock? You're like moving. It's like moving a car. Or you're just moving a rock. I mean, how big? Is it? Not like Mount Rushmore you're working on. You know, it's a little bit smaller than that, right?
I'm sorry. What was that?
It's not Mount Rushmore size, right?
No. Just big. I mean, just not even as big as a car, but just big ass rocks. But so after that stuff, I went to college. I was playing a lot of music, actually. I'm a drummer and did that since the 4th grade, and kind of came to the point while I was in school, 2 points. One, that I didn't want to do that as a profession because I didn't want to take the beauty or the magic out of it by having to pay the bills and put food on the table. I saw some people doing that, and I mean, some were wildly successful, but most were struggling artists.
What instrument do you play?
I play the drums.
The drums, okay.
Yeah. And I also came to the conclusion that school wasn't really for me because I was more interested in business. So I ended up leaving after a couple of years, and I went into a business around textiles. So that's actually my father's background, sort of what I grew up around. So worked in some fabric stores and then got into the interior design part of it. And that was really my first official foray, probably as an adult, into entrepreneurship.
And along the way, you became a Marine. So how did that happen?
Yes. So after the interior design business, I realized I sort of had a travel bug or adventure bug, more like it. I mean,
how old were you at this point?
I was 24 when I
24.
went into the Marine Corps the first time. Yeah.
So you're a private, a 24-year-old private.
Yeah, I was actually a PFC because of the little college I had. Okay. Yeah, essentially. So, which is older for anybody watching. It's not familiar.
Yes, normally
older, about 6 years older than most people deciding to do that.
Guys are usually like sergeants about that age, typically.
Yes. Well, my drill instructors were about my age, which was kind of an interesting dynamic. Good sometimes and not so good.
What was that? What was that like going through boot camp, being that age, and then going through and not being like everybody else? You had to stand out, obviously.
Yeah. I guess I felt like I knew a little better and could take things more with a grain of salt sometimes, and laugh sometimes, which got me in trouble. But yeah, it was definitely. I think as far as the drill instructors that were in charge of us, I was able to bond with them a little bit more, especially my senior, just because we were close in age, and they were actually interested in what the heck I've been doing and why was I there.
Yeah, they're like trying to figure you out. They're like, what the hell is this guy doing here?
I remember though, one of them said to me, "Boy, you must have took a wrong turn from New York."
Where are you from originally?
From New York.
Where part of New York?
Westchester County near White Plains, just outside the city, downstate New York.
Okay. So,
And so anyways, did 4 years.
why did you go in the Marine Corps? I mean, seriously, I mean, you're 6 years out and all of a sudden it's like, no, I just want to go into the Marine Corps. I know a lot of people has got a story behind it in some form of
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I felt like it would be an adventure, and I felt like if I didn't do it then, I'd never do it. So I did.
Cool.
And got to, I was stationed in Hawaii. I got to go to Japan and Korea and Thailand and all kinds of places, which was really cool. And there weren't any official wars happening at that time, actually. It was just after the first Gulf War. And even though we were mobilized a couple of times because we thought we might have to go back, it was fairly smooth sailing as far as that goes. And I got out and I had this idea of partnering up with my dad in this textile business. So I was working down in the garment center in New York City and was noticing that the industry was shrinking domestically. A lot was going offshore. So I think we're seeing a resurgence of things coming back now in terms of manufacturing, textiles, garments, and all kinds of manufacturing things. But anyway, saw the decline of that business, not necessarily his in particular, but in general. And, I was out in Okinawa, first started using email and looking at the web. And, in 96 or 7, something like that. I was there a couple of times. And, couldn't get over the fact that I could sit there on the other side of the world and email back and forth with somebody back home, in almost like pretty much real time. And that stuck with me, and I decided, what, I saw the writing on the wall, I guess, as far as where things were going. The internet was not anything like it is today at that time, but I taught myself how to build websites and started to approach small businesses. And, if you looked at a website I built then, which none of them exist as far as I know, but if you looked at it,
front page, did you get the front page builder out?
Front page and some different things like that.
Dreamweaver?
Yeah. Front page and Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
And so it would look like a kindergartner built it today, but it was good for them. And sort of just kept building up, did a great job for cheap for people, and kept getting referred to bigger and bigger companies and doing bigger and bigger projects, and even ended up getting hired on by a couple of software companies along the way because I was actually pitching them as clients, but they decided they wanted me to come work for them. So I did that in tandem with my own business. And then 9/11 happened, and that's my second entree into the Marine Corps, because I was in New York when that happened, and
wow.
It was really.
Where were you in New York when that happened?
I was actually on my way on a business trip with my boss at that point, and going to pick him up in Brooklyn, and everything was shut down. Everything got shut down. All the flights and everything. So and we could actually see what was going on from the rooftop of his apartment. It was really something that affected me, let's put it that way. And so I decided we're getting back in the fight, and I'm a Marine. That's where I belong. So I went back and re-enlisted. Took a hit in rank, but went back in as a corporal and did another 4 years. With official wars going on.
Yeah. What unit were you serving with then?
I started out with 3-8.
Okay.
I was out of Camp Lejeune.
Got it.
And we actually went someplace different than I expected at first. We went to Haiti.
Okay.
We were basically on call. Our battalion was on call, so to speak, QRF, whatever you want to call it. And President Aristide was overthrown, and there was gangs in the street, his gangs trying to get him back, I guess, and really killing people left and right. And so one day we were in Camp Lejeune, and the next day we were in Haiti.
Wow.
So we spent some time there, and that was Operation Secure Tomorrow, it's called. And then we came back, and then other things from there.
So basically, you thank you for your service again, Brian. And I know that I'm not alone in saying that to not just go out and do it once, but then turn around and jumping back into the fight again. After,
it was interesting.
Yeah,
I was 31 at the time, and the only reason I could actually get back in is because of my prior service. They were able to do some type of age waiver, but
yeah.
in hindsight, I mean, I'm glad I did it, but in hindsight,
at that age, like how old were you going in now as a corporal?
31.
31 as a corporal. Yeah.
Yes.
And normally corporals are like 22, 23.
Oh yeah. No doubt. I mean, or less. Yeah.
Yeah. Or less even.
No doubt. So
if you look at it that way, obviously you walked away from a good paying job. Everything was growing great. And all of a sudden you had this urge of like, no, I'm just going to go out and serve my country. And to do that, and I know you weren't alone, because some of the awesomest officers I got a chance to serve with were guys that came in right after that. 3 of them actually in particular. One was working on Wall Street, Zach Pace, and Zach's a phenomenal guy. He was multiple 6 figures, and just it was. So the crazy thing was he was up on Newport, Rhode Island, just hanging out with his buddies, and he shaved his head already. He was getting ready to go down to officer trainer school. It's officer candidate school in Quantico.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so he walked away from his job, and he walked into this bar, and this woman walked up to him, and she says, "What are you doing?" He's like, I'm unemployed. I shave my head. I'm going to the Marine Corps." Right. And they were married 6 weeks later, right? Still together today. So, and awesome guy. Another guy, Zach Buza. He's hilarious. He was prior enlisted, came back in as an officer.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't let him in as enlisted. I don't know what the deal was, but he's like, all right, whatever. So, and then Mike Seeley. Mike was actually prior. He had already had the beard going, so driving a truck. Had been out for a few years, and Mike came back in. He was force reconnaissance guy. This guy had gotten, as a corporal, had gotten a Bronze Star as a corporal in the first Gulf War, right? And came back in again as an officer. He had gotten out as a staff sergeant.
So he had to be on the older side there.
Oh, he was on the older side. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't tell by looking at him. He was like chiseled. He was an awesome dude. But
I was once too.
Yeah, we all were at once, right? After boot camp.
I saw somebody's picture in one of the Marine groups on Facebook. Had a picture of his dress blues and said, "Took these out of the closet. They seem to have shrunk in there or something." Shrunken a bit.
Yeah. But just some of the awesomest guys that I know, just that definitely that time in our country was just something different. And thanks for sharing with us, being there. And that's awesome, man. Seriously, just stepping up to the plate, not just once, but twice. And I know you joined because you wanted to get into the fight and do what you wanted to do. And then it's like we all join, and then the Marine Corps then tells you what you're going to do, because I mean, I had a first sergeant one day. I came in the office, and I was kind of pissed off about something. He's like, "What's going on, sir?" And I started telling him. He's like, "Sorry, can I talk to you?" And he's like, "I'm like, yeah, sure, first sergeant. What's up?" He's like, "Close the door." And he's like, "You got to realize that most of these other officers don't think the way you do around this kind of shit." And I was like, I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, it's like some of them don't want to go to combat, and some of them don't want to do this and that or whatever. And there's people out there who actually really, really want to do this stuff as well at the same time that are not getting the opportunity to. Right. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, wow, and he told me a story about how he had to fight to get on the deployment even. And he was an 01 type guy. He was somebody who was somebody who had to fight and literally almost.
That's some kind of admin, isn't it?
Yeah, admin. Yeah. He was admin. He had almost had to request mass to get on to a deployment because he wanted to go on deployment so bad. And what
kind of unit were you in?
I was an infantry unit, so I'm an infantry officer.
Yeah, so you know exactly everything I'm talking about then.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is people don't understand is like, no, we all have different roles and responsibilities and stuff like that, and we get told what we're going to do. We can dictate things to an extent, but there's a certain extent where it's like hey, I joined up to do this. Like I had a friend of mine who was a mentor of mine, and he was Staff Sergeant Tom Kavanaugh, and he joined during Vietnam. He's like, he was there. Everybody was getting drafted. He's like, well, I'm just going to go sign up in the Marines, right? So then he's thinking, all right, I'm going to Vietnam, and then they sent him to Japan, and he became a typist or something like that for a lawyer. He was like, I couldn't do anything about it,
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. There's definitely giving up of some personal agency there, because you got to do what's needed for the mission.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Brian, I know that you're super successful now, like getting and helping entrepreneurs make 7 figures. How did you get started down that road? I mean, like you started doing websites, right?
Yeah. So when I came out of the Marine Corps the second time, I went on with my website business for a little while, and then realized that very often we create these beautiful websites for companies, but they were not adding to the bottom line. They were not bringing in leads. They were not increasing profits. They were just something that companies thought they had to have for credibility and so on and so forth. And they're also sort of, at least I experienced, and maybe some of the bigger agencies, don't hit this necessarily, but there was a limit to how much I could charge for a website that wasn't necessarily going to add to, it wasn't going to have ROI. So I started getting into the direct response world online, the sales funnels and the email marketing and all those things. And really that's where I hit my stride with this. Started the company I have now, BuzzSource Agency, in 2012, the end of 2012. And so, I mean, all told, even if you subtract my Marine Corps years, I've been in internet marketing for 14 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of changes in this business. And, I'm the opposite of the guy that's going to say, here's the silver bullet, or here's the quick fix, whatever. This stuff is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
So true.
You can't, you're not going to go buy a program or build a sales funnel or any of these individual, little things.
There's not an easy button like at Staples. I can't go buy and just push
No.
Money comes out the side of my computer. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I let my clients know that it's going to be 3 to 6 months before they can expect to not necessarily break even, but till it gets to where they going in the right direction of where they want to go. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very straightforward with that. I'm not going to give them the rainbows and unicorns version.
No. That's just for the squatty potties.
I want to get one of those.
Those things rock, man. You got to get a squatty potty. I'll send you one. Send me your address. So Brian, I know everything has been peaches and unicorns for you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean,
when you started out in your business, I mean, like there probably had some ticker tape parade outside your house or something like that. Brian's big business launching, right?
No, not at all. And
how did you get started? I mean, like what were some of the lessons you took away from the Marine Corps, especially that you're put into business for yourself?
Yeah, so Marine Corps teaches you the discipline to stick with something, and even if you're getting beat up, even if you're failing, so to speak, or not as successful as you want to be as quickly as you want to be, and so that I think entrepreneurs really need to have that tenacity or that stick-to-itiveness. Otherwise, they're in the wrong game. Get a job. Get a job because you're even though you're in control of your income,
you're in control of your income.
I mean, it's not like clockwork, it's not every week or two, whatever, you get a paycheck at all. So if you can't take that uncertainty, that level of uncertainty, being an entrepreneur is not the way to go at all, no matter what you're doing. But as my business grew, and a lot of it had to do with my network, and I always say your network is your net worth. And what that has meant for me, aside from like, hey, we're veterans and Marine Corps veterans in particular, and we stick together, and we'll do business together. And you sent me Zimmerman the other day, and we'll do business, and it'll go on like that. But then to even expand further, when I started investing in myself in the 5-figure and up category for masterminds and mentorships and things like that, that's when things really blew up for me. And I was associating with people playing on an elite level.
You invested in that, Brian. I have to cut you off. When you invested that, did you have the money to pay for all that stuff?
No.
Exactly, right?
Which
I mean,
no,
I don't know how I'm going to do it. You just wrote a check and so
I wasn't sitting on that money. The price of success is paid in advance.
Ooh, that's a good nugget right there. The price of advance.
Yeah, you have to invest in yourself and in your business before the profits come. And the thing is, I don't necessarily recommend that people like go into huge debt in that way, but I mean, they're doing it with college, right? You're going to get in debt $100,000, $200,000 to go to school and have no guarantees of anything. So I'm not saying college is don't go to college or don't send your kid to college. But
Brian said, don't go to college.
I would say that actually, but that's just me.
Not on air.
It depends what you want to do. My wife's a doctor. She had to go to college, in medical school and all this stuff. And, we were able to retire her from conventional medical practice a few years ago,
wow.
Which was awesome.
Congratulations.
And she has a coaching business.
How long you guys been married now?
9 years.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, thanks. Got 2 beautiful sons, almost 7 and then 8 years old.
Oh, really? Our kids are about the same age then. So I got
features. I don't know if you saw this hysterical video from BBC where the guy was doing the interview and his kids were running in behind him.
Those your kids?
It is so funny, but anyway, that's not going to happen today because they're used to me doing calls like this.
Yeah, mine are at school, so I'm good.
Cool. Yeah, we're my wife homeschools them actually.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we homeschool them. And anyway, so coming around to the lead generation and the core of my business, which was originally more building sales funnels from the ground up and then running the traffic to them from Facebook or Google or what have you.
Yeah.
And as I've gone along, more and more of my clients have the funnel in place already and have a proven product and service and are making profits, but then they just want to take it to the next level. So primarily my agency is being hired to create and run ads on various platforms and to then optimize the whole process all the way through. So we get back in and retrofit things. We split test and figure out where people are dropping off in their online sales process and deal with all of it. So I have copywriters and funnel builders and website builders and the whole thing. We just all go at it together, branding people, and as a team, we can handle every part of it because really with this process, if one part of it, and say there's 4 major parts, running from the ads to the landing pages, to the sales page, to the email follow-up marketing, and so forth. If one of those things is not working, none of it's going to work. So we take a holistic approach to
the holistic funnel approach. I like this.
Yes.
Marine's talking about holistic stuff now. We're getting interesting.
I've since become so much more spiritual.
Now, he says his Buddha is on the side of his desk over there, guys. Right?
Yeah, he is actually.
So we got mine's there. He is. Yeah, mine's upstairs in my bedroom. Look at us, Marines with Buddhas, right? So you got four parts to that, right? You've got the ads. You were saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the funnel, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the email. What am I missing? I'm missing something.
The fourth step, and I'll put an exponent on this one, is to track and analyze.
Tracking and analyzing.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay.
Because if you don't know what's going on, you're just guessing and you're just throwing money away. So we want to make sure we know exactly which ad led to exactly which sale and track it all the way along.
Let's
exactly
talk about that for a moment, because that's one of those things that always fascinates me when you ask a business owner, they ask them, well, how much does it cost to get you a customer? And they just kind of scratch their head like this. They're like, what do you mean? They're like, they have no idea whatsoever. And that's one of the beautiful things about marketing online versus offline. Not to say that, one works the other, but you can track, right?
Yeah, and they're starting to get intermingled with that.
Intermingled more and more. But you ask a customer like, hey, what does it cost you to get a new customer for your hearing aid business or for your plastic surgery business? And they just kind of look at you like a deer in headlights. Like, what are you talking about? You can actually do that?
And what's interesting beyond that is most of them don't have an idea what their lifetime customer value is.
That's
so
the second
they
question.
could really be investing more in their marketing if they realized what each of those customers is worth to them. And also, a lot of people don't realize that all advertising, including hiring an agency like mine, is a tax write-off anyway. So I think people are being more shy about getting into their marketing than they need to be. However, it's really imperative that you do it the right way versus the wrong way. And there are horror stories around that, from the do-it-yourself, or the things that never happen because you don't know how to do it yourself, or the wrong people that they've hired and stuff like that. So,
Brian, what are the most common things people come to you? Probably a lot of times, maybe they've hired somebody in the past, and they've had some, let's unquote, challenges, right?
Yeah.
With some of the people they've hired in the past. What makes your firm different and stand out from amongst the other people that are out there saying, we're going to do it better than so-and-so?
Well, it kind of gets back to what I was saying before, that I give them the straight dope. I'm not going to exaggerate or blow smoke up their ass about what they're trying to do. I'm going to let them know that I think this has potential. I think it's scalable. But it's going to take X amount of time at least, and you're going to invest X amount to get there. And right now I have the luxury of working mostly with people who are spending in excess of $30K a month on advertising, spending as much of that in a day. So I didn't start there, but I had to know what I was doing to get there. And anyone that's more starting out, sometimes people hire me just for consulting to work on their strategy and give them an outline of what they should be doing, whether they do it with me or not, or they're ready to do it with me or not. So there's some of that, and primarily it's people that have hit some kind of plateau or never gotten to where they wanted to with their business, and we do like an extreme marketing makeover.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's seen the makeover show on houses, but you're doing it on people's businesses.
Yes, exactly.
I found that a lot of times entrepreneurs, I'm guilty of this myself, is they focus so much on their craft or their baby, and they don't want to be told they got an ugly baby, right? And at the same time, they forget about marketing that baby and making sure somebody actually wants it.
Yeah, and most people are in the feast and famine cycle because they don't have some type of automated marketing and lead generation system in place. So they're outselling and they're fulfilling, and then they need money, or those people are done, and then we're going to go sell, and it creates this very stressful roller coaster ride, which I've been on myself, so I get it.
Let's hear about your ultimate low point on this whole roller coaster ride on doing this whole deal.
Yeah, I mean, there have been numerous times in my entrepreneurial career where I definitely didn't know where the next dollar was coming from, for sure.
Let's pick one of them.
Well, I think, I thought about this because I was looking sort of over your questions, and the thing that has sidetracked me the most, and it doesn't really have anything to do with entrepreneurship, but I've actually at various times had some issues with alcohol and drug abuse, to be completely transparent with you. Investigated whether that has to do anything with PTSD or what have you, and ongoing type of process. But I think as Marines, we have sort of an adrenaline level that even when we get out, we're kind of tightly wound, you know what I mean, by default. And so what I would say to anyone is, if that's your tendency at all, be very careful of that, because that's the only thing in my life that's really turned things sideways. If you're relatively centered and relatively within your own, in your own mind. In your right mind is what I'm looking for. If you're in your right mind, you can do anything, and then it's just a matter of getting out of your own way. But I know that was the way I handled stress and in the past, and it never paid off for me. It only hurt me. So
how did you overcome that?
Those were my failures, if there were failures. But I learned a lot from it, and it pushed me. It pushed me into more spirituality. Laughing about my Buddha on the desk here, but to realize, to have fun, like we were talking about before we started here.
Yeah.
To stay present in the moment and be here and not be in the past and not be in the present, because it's really all we have. And once you get there, even if it's in bits and pieces at first, then there are no more problems. They're just situations, and the stress level goes down, and everything kind of calms down and almost slows down to where you can be creative and realize there are so many options to make the money or tweak your business or different things like that. And right now, my biggest thing that I'm working on is creating not only the team, but the systems to be able to step away from my business more and more. So I'm not, I think we tend to be our own biggest bottleneck in business sometimes. And so I'm working with business coaches to do things like that. Some great people. So
even you that I'll say it myself, because I can say it, I know you won't say it, are a master at what you do with generating leads and helping people to do their businesses, because you're not going to go around saying that, but I'll say it for you. All right, there you go. There's my plug for Brian, guys. All right. Even the master, right, goes to somebody else to help him even sharpen his sword and get better. So what are the things that you do to sharpen your sword to get better at becoming a better business person, a better father, better leader?
It takes some effort every day. Everything has to be the most important things in life, whether it's your fitness or your business or your family relationships, or your spirituality for that matter. I touch those things every day. And some days it's a fast touch. It's like high five going by. But other days it's more concentrated time and quality time for those things. And I have a morning ritual that I follow that I've taken from various places, and it includes moving my body to activate it, if not a full workout, reading, things that are spiritual and help me get centered, hydrating. I drink a green smoothie every morning for breakfast, which is spinach and avocado and all kinds of good stuff like that. So as well as a little bit of journaling that I've finally started doing, very little bit, but I find that if you're not doing something, for instance, if as an entrepreneur especially, we tend to be out of balance. So we're crushing business, but our family hasn't seen us, or we're getting out of shape, or whatever the case is. It tends to be one or more things out of balance. And what happens is then when we realize, okay, well, I'm not doing good in this area, so I'm going to push everything, and then we're going to be extremists in the other one. So now we're in shape, and our family sees us all the time, but we're not making money. So what I'm getting at is, if you haven't been taking care of these most important areas and you feel like you're lacking, you're not going to leap tall buildings in a single bound in that other area overnight. So what I do is I'll say to myself as I build up something, all right, well, I'm going to read for 5 minutes or something, 15 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is. To start out with, something that you can do on a daily basis, and start little, and then it automatically starts to expand. And I have plans where there's like plan A, which is do all this stuff every day. Plan B, do a shortened version of this stuff. because time doesn't allow. And at plan C, just like get a little bit in. So, I feel like I'm starting my day out successfully. I'm stacking these small wins and can go forward from there, because we know that life happens. And when you're an entrepreneur, especially, you have to be flexible.
Did you find that when you got off balance before in the past, that's when you went to the drugs and the alcohol side of things?
Yeah. So if I don't do those things, the stress levels build up. Depending on what is the strong aspect at the time or that I'm giving my most time to, burnout, stress levels, guilt of not spending quality time with wife and kids, different things like that, or not feeling like things have meaning or what that you're doing what you want to do. So those are all the body, the being, body being balanced business, which is something I learned over in the Wake Up Warrior program. That was actually my first high-end type of investment in myself.
And how did you like that? That was with Garrett White, right?
Yeah. I worked with him for almost 2 years, I think.
Okay. Are you still working with Garrett now?
No. I moved on from there, and I'm working with other even more elite business people and things like that. But it was perfect. And I could still be working with guys, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like I got what I needed from there. And really, I believe in terms of mentors and coaching, you probably should be changing them out periodically.
Yeah. Big thing about like mentorship is like, mentors being a mentor, it's not supposed to be there the whole time. You mentor somebody to get somebody to a certain point, or you provide them with as much knowledge as possible so they can learn and go take that knowledge and put it into action.
Yeah. And if they've grown, if they're really growing, they should outgrow you and move on to something else. Yeah. So I've always, after that initial experience and going back to talking about your network being your net worth, I've built an association with a lot of people that are playing this game of life at an elite level, not just in business, but all across those main pillars of life. And so that encourages me to do more and to be more. And the associations are priceless, because there's nothing like having a group of people that, for instance, business-wise, can afford your services and need your services. And they know you often on a deeper level than most would, most prospects, so to speak, just coming along would. So that's good stuff. Absolutely. It got me what I wanted to say about the Wake Up Warrior. It woke me up. I was in a kind of a rut, and it definitely woke me up to a lot of things. So it was a good program.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about the program.
Yeah,
and I loved Garrett spoken from stage a couple of times at ClickFunnels, and everybody raves about him. And he's very non BS type of guy. So I could.
No, he's a great guy, no doubt. And I'm, as far as other people I've worked with since then, Dan Meredith, who you might know, he has Coffee with Dan, which is a great Facebook group to be part of, and he has some paid groups. And Dexter Abraham, who's very outspoken guy with a cartoon icon, but he's far from a cartoon. I speak with him, if not daily, every week, and he's one of my business mentors now. And people like that. I always work with people who are at least the next level 2 or 10 above where I want to be. And that's just like if you want to learn how to play tennis, you play with John McEnroe, you don't play with somebody that you can beat.
Absolutely.
I just dated myself for that, huh?
Yeah. You're throwing the rackets at people. That's what that guy was doing.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. So we got some gold nuggets there. If you were going to share one thing, kind of reaching back to maybe one of those low points in your life, in your entrepreneurship career, and you wanted to pass along some information to that younger self, like what would be some of the biggest lessons you learned along the way that, again, there's no failure in life. There's only feedback from doing stuff.
Absolutely.
What are some of those things you would share with the younger self and you wanted to, just transfer that knowledge on so you didn't have to go through the pain?
first of all, be yourself. In terms of yourself and your business should be congruent with your real personality. And the people that you really want to work with are people that you click with. Some aren't going to be. If you're not being yourself, or you're trying to put up a facade and be someone that you're not, you're going to find yourself working with the wrong people, and also not feeling comfortable and secure, and you're gonna be stressed. Anytime like we're keeping up appearances, I think people get stressed. But then further into that, because I believe in polarizing my audience. Some are gonna like me or love me. I'd rather have people loving me and hating me than be lukewarm, because a lot of people are just recycling the same old bullshit and wonder why they're not as successful as they want to be. There are no problems, just situations. And so none of it's worth getting stressed out about. Like you said, there's no failure, there's just feedback. And if something's not producing the results you want, then do something about it. But otherwise, projecting into the future, what might happen, what might not happen, or thinking about what you did in the past that did or failed to do in the past doesn't serve any purpose. As a matter of fact, I'm rereading one of the most profound books that has affected my life ever. It's called The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, great book.
It's just really about being in the present moment. Like right now, I'm here with you. I'm not thinking about anything but that, except where I have to just tap into memories and stuff like that. But it's a story. But learning how to be there, and I'm far from perfect at it, but I know that every time I'm feeling stressed, it's because I'm not being present. So if I had internalized those things, I knew a certain amount of that already, but if I had internalized some of those things as my younger self, I don't think I would have taken those detours that I have. But the good thing is I'm very good at bouncing back. So I think most people are good at bouncing back if something gets in their way.
I'm sure a lot of those things that it's made you who you are today, right? And if we hadn't have taken the different detours or the different things, being chuckleheads, I'm sure each of us have been chuckleheads at times, then we wouldn't be where we are.
Well, to take time to invest in yourself, not just monetarily, but invest the time in yourself. I mean, when I make my calendar out, I have the things that are important to me, and the most important to me, which is not business, they go on first, and then the business works around that. I work a lot still, don't get me wrong, but I have to make myself and my family a priority. And my experiences have enabled me to become less judgmental, for instance, and show more compassion to someone struggling. And they might be struggling with something else. It's the same thing, but we have our struggles, and to help people more, and to and that's pretty much and going through that experience and realizing that we're all things are gonna happen, or we're all gonna have our struggles, and doesn't make us any less than anyone else, whether we have more money or less money or whatever.
Absolutely. So Brian, what are some of the qualifications that you look for when somebody's, I know you're a sought after person, to work with, and it's really hard to get in front of you, but if you're going to say, this is my ideal client, these are the type of people that I like to work with, right? Who would that be? If somebody came to you and was like, hey, this is my business, this is the problems I have, this is how big it is. Like who is it as far as that avatar person, the ideal client you would want to work with?
It would definitely be a 7-figure business and up. So making revenues of over $1 million, preferably like to the $3 to $5 million a year range, because they can afford to invest in their advertising the way I'd like them to. And we don't just start out on a huge number though with anybody. We'll do some conservative testing and then scale up from there. So if I'm going to be speaking with someone as a potential client, I want to find out either A, if they're there already and what they're doing, and they just want to optimize it and get better results, or if they have a plan to scale that I can buy into, that it'll be a win-win for both of us.
Cool.
But I talk to a lot of my kind of giving back type stuff is helping people that aren't there yet. And whether it's with a consultation or a conversation or just chipping in here and there for advice, I like to do that. And also, I do some mentoring and coaching on my own. Remember the story of Daryl, the guy who went from homeless to in a very successful his own business.
Yeah.
Within about a year and a half period. So things like that I love to do.
I've got another Marine for you lined up that'd be great for that. He contacted me this morning and we were chit-chatting. He's a very good, talented artist. He's one of my old Marines, and
awesome.
He reached out to me today telling me he was homeless and he just went into a hotel this morning. He doesn't know what he's going to do. And he's having some problems with, I think, TBI a little bit too. So, but he's an entrepreneur. He's been selling his own stuff on the side for a while, but.
Great. Yeah. I especially love working with the vets, but certainly not limited to that. And I'm working on right now designing some things that people just wanting to get started in business online can do for very little money and get some results right away and then go from there.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you, Brian, taking the time out. What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you? Is there a Facebook group they should go to? Is there a website? What's the best way to reach you, brother?
Well, I have a website up at buzzsource.co, BUZZSOURCE.co. No M at the end. It's not a .com. There's a chat thing on there, so you can chat, or you can opt in and fill out a form that tells me a little bit more about your business and get onto my radar that way. If we're friends on Facebook, by all means, just message me and we can get into a conversation and just see if it would be the right fit or not. And most aren't, honestly. But it's just a matter of if I can't help you myself, I'll certainly point you in the right direction or give you some pointers to go on that path, a successful path that you're wanting to do. So I'm pretty easygoing, except where my time comes in. And so I know I do a lot of giving back and things because I feel like the more I serve and more value I bring to people, whether they're these big whales of clients or not, it's just a good flow, and you definitely get back when you give. So service is a whole thing, and if we look at adding value and giving service to our clients, then everything instead of selling them something, so to speak, things work out a lot better.
Absolutely.
It comes back to us many times over. Yeah, that's how to get in touch with me.
that's too many lessons to even count, Brian. I appreciate you sharing that with us today, man, because I'm just like, I'm trying to scramble out notes over here on my computer. I'm like, man, that's a good one. I think that the quote I have taken away from success is paid in advance, man. That's golden right there.
Yeah, that's important for sure. It's an important one. So be ready to invest, whether it's your time or your money or both, ahead of time. The fruits of your labor will come later.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. And guys, get a hold of Brian. He's a genius at what he does. He's not going to talk about it, but he's a ninja.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yes.
Good talking to you, man.